WFO Radio is brought to you in part by Extreme Velocity 3 Drag Racing. Download for your mobile device. Win your way on the show. WFO.
Now, back to WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
Final segment, WFO Radio, looking back at the Arizona Nationals, then looking ahead to the Amalie Motor Oil NHRA Gator Nationals. Great show. Hopefully you subscribe to WFO and bring on some fans and friends that like NHRA drag racing. I was at a big car show this past week. Got to talk about WFO Radio. Daryl Gwynn was there. We're getting ready for the Gator Nationals. Just so many great things happening in the world of drag racing. And you guys, the WFO Radio audience, have done really special stuff over the past couple of years supporting the show. And it has not been lost on me. Cool stuff happens. And the longer I'm out there, the more amazed I am by crazy stuff. Well, like when my listener from back in the satellite radio days shows up at a racetrack as a crew volunteer and then beats Tony Schumacher and Antron Brown to go to the semifinal round. How cool is that? Let's hear from him. Joining us now, he is a longtime WFO radio listener, going way back to the satellite radio days. He is known as Restrictor Plate. He gave me trouble a lot, but now we're great friends, so much so that he's been coming out to the NHRA. And you might be wondering, why is he on NHRA Nitro? What's the story about that? And the answer is, he is and has been great friends with Greg Carrillo. You remember Greg Carrillo, who went to the semifinals out there in Arizona? Well, this guy was on the team helping out, flew in to volunteer. We're going to get the story right from him. Restrictor Plate, a.k.a. Sean, joins us now. What's up? How are you? How did that feel?
WFO all the way. That's how that feels. And, I mean, when you're sitting there and you do that good and you're up against big names like Schumacher and Antron Brown, you can't be nothing but happy. But I got a really big surprise for you. Because not only did I fly in to just help out on the team a little bit, I'm actually doing a little bit extra stuff. So here you go. You want a real big surprise? Here you go. Listen to this.
Surprise me.
Got here.
What?
Hello.
Is this Greg?
This is him.
This is
Who's
it.
this?
This is Joe Costello from WFO, the guy who interviewed you
man,
a couple of times on the top
cool.
end.
Your show is way cool, man. Way cool. Sean tells me about it. I listen to it. It's an awesome show, man. How are you? Thanks for
he's right.
reaching out.
Well, you know, Restrictor Plate has been the thorn in my side for many, many years, over a decade, but we became friends. And the guy is awesome. You know him very well. We met and all hung out at the Mile High Nationals, which is kind of your first back race. But I was surprised to see him out there at Wild Horse Pass. And I don't know, do you give him any credit for your great success?
Is he a thorn in your side as well as mine, man? This guy
we have that
is
in common.
Everywhere. I'll be out doing some marketing events. Here he is, truck shows. But you know what energy the guy has. So I just said, hey, he stopped by and seen us. And I said, hey, you know what? Why don't you get over here and drive this truck instead of talking so much?
You are alone in the cab of a truck with this guy. That is an extra leap of faith right there, Greg.
I'll tell you what, all the guys are driving other vehicles and stuff. And I just was so excited that we did so well at that race. I said, I'm going to jump in the truck and ride with these guys,
Wow. Well, let's go back to the race. Let's talk about it, because we had Alan Reinhardt on right after the event, and we were marveling at you. And he, as an Arizona guy, told his version of your story, which was, someday I'm going to have a top fuel car. Someday I'm going to make this thing happen. I'm going to do whatever I have to do. And you did, and you are, and you beat Tony Schumacher and Antron Brown en route to a semifinal finish at your home race. What does that feel like?
Cool. That was cool, right? Wasn't it? I mean, in a hometown, but beating those guys, they're good friends of mine. And it was an honor to actually race with my friends. That's really what it's all about out there, But, yeah, in front of the home crowd, turning on the wind lights, that's good. It was a tricky racetrack, and we knew that, and we wanted to use it to our advantage. I've never driven anything, Joe, sit behind the wheel of anything I couldn't,
look over the handlebars and say, hey, man, I can't win today. But I felt like that was the day, and my team put together a good car, and we went out and got us a few win lights turned on.
And that is it. You did what it took to win. That's what drag racing is all about. Getting from the starting line to the finish line ahead of the other guy, you were able to do it twice. But the way you did it, the amount of more than 10 championships worth, 11 championships worth of drivers were your first 2-round victims, which, I don't know, it doesn't get much better than that. What a great stat. Tony Schumacher, everybody gets their first round win against Tony Schumacher. But to beat Antron Brown also, thrilling. It's got to be thrilling. Everyone was excited about it.
Well, I'll tell you what, man, it was definitely a thrill to turn on those win lights and be able to turn the car around and get back up there and try to race for the win. That's what we're there for. You know, I told these guys, hey, listen, the night before when we got Tony Schumacher, I said, Tony's a good friend of mine, but I'll tell you what, guys, them are multi-million-dollar teams over there. But last time I checked, you can only bring 8 brand-new pistons to the starting line, and we had 8 brand-new ones to bring at them.
Wow, that is great. Now, all right, what was learned, though, for your team? I know you went to testing, you went to the mile highs, but there's nothing to simulate what you got to experience. You learned how to win a round, turn the car, win another round, turn the car again, and you also probably learned some shortcomings that you didn't know that you had. What were those?
Yeah, a couple of shortcomings you have is you got to have, the pieces in there that you got to have. We had the pieces that we needed to win, and here's really what it goes. Palmer, Scott Palmer, heck of a racer, solid racer, and he runs that car like an old bracket car. He's going to run a middle 80 on you. The shortcomings are, we know what they are. We got to just get more laps on our belt. We've only got a couple of runs on this car, but we were making runs down the track, A to B, like Tony Pedregon says, and Tony Schumacher. He says, you got to get to the end. And they gave me some good advice with that stuff, so that's what we're going to do, and that's what we're going to continue to do is go A to B and go from there. But let me tell you, old Scott Palmer, heck of a racer, and bottom line is he just went out there and he gave me a butt whipping, and that's it. So
well, you left on him.
My day down, but it was great.
To be fair, you left on him. You had an 080 reaction time. I don't know if he was like trying to turn it green because he knew there was something up, or whether he just missed it. I don't know. I guess I'll have to talk to Scott. But the fact of the matter is, it was a total. You can sometimes win even though you didn't win the full event, and you guys won on this day. Seeing your crew, I only imagine their volunteer. Go through that and get the thrill, our great friend Sean in particular, of, slapping 5 with Tony Schumacher after you beat him. That's awesome.
It was awesome. The regular, I've got 1 million laps in the sportsman category. So we just do our normal thing. We're going to go up there and we're going to stage and not mess anybody up, but we're going to be leaving on time. We're not going to be making any stupid mistakes on the starting line. And it was just a normal light for us. We just cut trimming up the tree, and I figured he was going to run a middle 80. I thought we could run an 88 or better, and I could maybe get 30 on the tree was my plan. And it worked out, the 30 on the tree, but, we just didn't have the car to get there today. But not taking anything away from Scott Palmer. He's a hell of a racer. He's earned it. He made it to his first final, and he's a hell of a guy. And, how about that? Steve Torrance, really consistent. Him and his dad, I raced with them for years. They go out and they race them cars for the win. They didn't lay down. Nobody laid down. Tough racers and very good friends. And I'm happy for them for the win.
What is your plan for the rest of the year? What I like to learn from situations like this is like, hey, people out there in the world who are interested and maybe don't think that it can happen. It can happen. You can do it. You can compete. Ask Greg Carrillo at the Arizona Nationals. Ask Kevin Kinsley at the U.S. Nationals. It can happen. So, Greg, what about the rest of the season? How many races? What are your plans? Now that you've done this, what are you going to do to try to bring in some more help?
I'll tell you what. Here's what I'd like to tell you. I had a great plan and great sponsorships and stuff. I do marketing and promotions for Mobil 1, so it was great to beat the Pennzoil cars. That ought to put a little feather in the cap there. But, I'm going to have to tell you the truth. The two greatest secrets in the world are where elephants go to die and when Greg Carrillo is going to be back out on the track. Hopefully soon, man. But, you can't go out there without any funding. I'm not going to go out there and race unless I can race for the win, Joe. I mean, that's all there's to it. I'm not going to go out and beat my head against the wall. If I'm going to come out there, I'm going to win, and that's the only way I'm going to show up.
Greg, final question. How do you make hay with this on the marketing side? You've got something to work with now. You've got your name is out there. People know you can win. You have a moment. Are you going to take this and try to do something with it?
Yeah, of course I'm going to try to do something with it. I've had, Coors Beer on my Sportsman cars. I've had Zima. We had Mobil for a little while on the Sportsman cars, and we're gonna get out there and let people know what we got, and of course we have to make it make sense for them. They're not in the racing business; they're in their product, whatever it is, business. So if we can tie the two together and make it successful, then that's what we're going to do. We got to make it. We got to make it a win-win for NHRA Top Fuel Drag Racing, and a win for whomever is helping us out. So that's where we're going to head with this. So, and stay tuned.
That's great.
Stay tuned.
Greg, thank you so much. Congratulations on your great run. It was a lot of fun to watch, very entertaining, high level of entertainment in front of a sellout crowd at Wild Horse Pass. And thanks for the surprise. I guess you can hand the phone back to Restrictor Plate.
Yeah, Restrictor Plate. Here he is.
There he is.
Hey, how about that for a first class, what do you call that, nobody else can get type of deal for you?
Surprise. You're in the cab of a truck with Greg Carrillo. You're cruising back home after the Arizona Nationals. All right, now you just let us hear from the driver, and I think it's great, but I want to take a minute with you. All right?
Yes, sir.
Listen, everybody who listened to Wide Open for many years knows you. You come on our Ignition show. You did not get in the Fantasy League, which is very disappointing to us, but we're going to forget about that. We're not going to do that right now. We're going to do that another time. I just want to talk to you as racing fan, many-year NASCAR fan, guy who loves auto sports, motorsports, all that. The idea that you, not Greg, you beat Tony Schumacher and Antron Brown. Like, you're on a team. You flew in to help any way you could. You're volunteering. You're doing whatever you can do. And the result is that you beat the greatest ever and one of the greatest ever back to back. How do you wrap your mind around that?
Still trying to wrap my mind around it. I'm friends with Tony too. I like Tony. But to turn around and watch him set a track record and do the speeds he did and everything down there in Phoenix at the track, and then to get out there and the first thing that you hear when you're qualified that you got to go up against him, your knees start shaking. You start doing that, and then all of a sudden you get out there and you get him, you win. I just don't know how to describe anything but unbelievable. It was unbelievable. We were going nuts, but everybody in the whole place went nuts. I mean, it's just I don't know how to describe that feeling. It's unbelievable. And as far as being a race fan, doing that type of thing, it's a dream come true. This has been a lifelong dream of mine to be able to work on any kind of vehicle that is in racing like that. And then to turn around and do that with a guy like Greg and everything, it was just so much fun. You forget about the pain. You forget about the little bit of sleep you get and all the hard work that you're doing. You just forget about it all, and it's a blast. I mean, and Tony and Anton, they're both great guys. And, I mean, they come up and shook our hands and said congratulations and everything else. I mean, it wasn't anything what I thought it was going to be. It was totally different.
And I'm blown away by it too. I hope you realize that. Like I know this guy, and he's flying in, and what I want to say, what I want to get to, I love NASCAR and I love IndyCar and I love Formula One and all that stuff, but this story can't happen in those sports. That's what I'm saying. Greg Carrillo can't buy a car, build a team, try to just show up and qualify with his friends from around the country flying in to volunteer and qualify and beat the greatest of all time and Antron Brown, one of the greatest of all time, back to back. That can't happen in NASCAR.
No, it can't. And I mean, to be able to do it with NHRA, and Top Fuel, I mean, the highest level that you can get in NHRA, it's just so amazing. I mean, and it's like a family. I mean, you always hear that all the time. It's like a family. All these racers, they help each other. They do stuff with everything. I mean, to watch these guys come over and help, and, if Greg needed something, they were right there to help him out. If Greg had questions or anything like that, they were right there. I mean, everybody was – I mean, it didn't matter what the driver was. I mean, we even had Fast Jack come down and say something to us, and he's in a funny car. I mean, all the teams, it's a great big family. Even after the races were all done, they all come down and party down here at our car and everything. It was amazing to watch that stuff happen, and to have somebody like me, just a plain truck driver, get involved with this, because I became friends with Greg and everything before he started all this, and then all of a sudden, now I get to do it with him. I don't know, he's just an amazing guy. He's a great friend, and he's made my dreams come true.
Amazing. Now, okay, real quick before I let you go, I know you guys are going over the road, trying to get home, all that stuff. But one more thing, what did you do? What were you in charge of, Restrictor Plate? What did they have you do? And I'm not belittling any of it, because every little bit matters. So what was it?
I was basically a gopher. If they needed something, I did whatever I could. I mean, emptying used oil out of the jug, taking it down and doing stuff like that, running and getting this person, doing stuff like that. When we got down into the pits, I was the one that was putting the wheel covers on the back wheels so that they didn't get too hot, and then I'd take the battery up so that for the starter, and as soon as they started the motor, I'd wrap up the cable and I'd take it over the truck and throw that into the truck. I mean, if you watch Antron Brown, the race that we did against him, we're in the, as it's looking, we're in the left lane. As you're looking at the TV, you can watch me on TV. I saw it and everything, where I'm wrapping it up, and I'm the one that's dragging the battery around behind Antron's car, taking it over to the truck.
The idea that you, Restrictor Plate, is on the starting line in a competition against Antron Brown, that just blows my mind in a good way.
My knees are still shaking over all this.
They should be. They should be.
I mean, there's no way to describe it. It's just amazing, unbelievable, and too much fun.
There it is. Well, Restrictor Plate, thank you very much for the great surprise that Greg is with you and on the show. I was thrilled to just speak with longtime WFO radio listener, Restrictor Plate Sean. And when I saw you at the track, it just, I smiled yeah, this guy's here.